Hello guys, welcome back to another Commander Tips video. This time we're going to do Commander 2018 edition. We're going to go over this year's Weirdo deck, Subjective Reality. As per colors, we have the front commander, Ninjutsu, the Fate Shifter. One of the 4 Planeswalker commanders that we have this year. This video is going to be covering the brand new legendary creatures. Any other legendary creature in the deck isn't going to be covered. It's just going to be these 4. We have Ninjutsu, the Fate Shifter. We have Verena, Lich Queen. We have Yennet, Cryptic Sovereign. And then we have Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow. And before we talk about the other 3, let's talk about Verena real quick, because she's probably the most unique out of these 3. These 3 kind of synergize with each other. She doesn't really do much to synergize with them. She's 4 mana. Whenever you attack with 1 or more zombies, draw that many cards, then discard that many cards, you gain that much life. You can pay 2 mana to exile 2 cards from your graveyard, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. She's a 4/4. That's about it. Perfect if you want to make zombie tribal in Esper colors. This was a big deal to a lot of people because we do have the Amonkhet zombies that were white, and you saw a lot of those Orzhov zombie decks. So now you can take those and play with a lot of the blue-black zombies that you wanted to. As far as this being a solid deck, it's going to be kind of average. I don't see it being too terribly strong, but having a way to draw cards and then fill your graveyard is really nice. You also get to gain some life, so there's some synergies there. Maybe not the best creature, nothing really going there other than a 4/4. You don't have any keywords, so you're going to have to depend on a lot of those zombie lords, which you do have. Make all of your zombies a lot bigger. You do have an engine here where you can just get more zombie tokens. You're filling your graveyard with her trigger. It shouldn't be too difficult to make a decent combat strategy all around Verena. Now let's talk about the other 3. We have Ninjutsu, really weird Planeswalker. Her +1, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your library. Her -1, exile another target permanent you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. And then her ult is a -6, choose left or right. Each player gains control of all non-land permanents other than Ninjutsu, the Fate Shifter, controlled by the next player in the chosen direction. And she comes in at base loyalty of 3. Now immediately, especially looking at that ult, I thought about Esper Chaos. More specifically, I thought of the card Omen Machine and also Gate to the Aether. Cards like these are really cool, especially with Omen Machine. Embrace the chaos. You're going to be forcing players into much slower turns. You're going to know exactly what's on the top of your deck because Ninjutsu is that good. Her +1 just allows for that manipulation. You can put a card that you really want to cast on the top of your deck, making Omen Machine even more viable. But if you don't like embracing the chaos, there are a couple strategies that you can go with Ninjutsu. The most obvious being miracles. Are you a believer in miracles? Because there are a decent number of them that are actually playable in Commander, such as Entreat the Angels. We also have Terminus. We have Devastation Tide and Temporal Mastery, but we also have a brand new card here, Entreat the Dead, which is kind of like Entreat the Angels but for creature cards in our graveyard. I don't know how strong this card's going to be because I don't see this being a huge creature heavy deck, but still worth putting in here if you like miracles and you want to make this kind of a miracle themed deck. You are going to have to rely on other strategies though, because there aren't too many miracles, which comes to the other awesome strategy in Manifest, which is really cool because you take an otherwise worthless keyword in Commander and take advantage of the synergies with the top of your deck. And we see that with yet again another brand new card in Primordial Mist. Beginning of your end step, you may manifest the top card of your library, which is pretty much what all of the manifest cards do. And then you exile a face down permanent you control face up, and you may play that card this turn. So either way, you should be able to play whatever your face down manifested card is, even if it isn't a creature, which is a nice way to get around the usual manifest. And I was going to say this is sort of the wizard deck of last year, but this actually does have commander options in it that aren't completely going to deviate from what Ninjutsu wants to do. You have Yennet, Cryptic Sovereign, 5 mana, 3/5 Flying Vigilance Menace. Awesome keywords for Sphinx. Whenever Yennet attacks, you reveal the top card of your library, and if that card's converted mana cost is odd, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, you just draw a card. So either way, it's going to give you some advantage. That's pretty good. Ninjutsu is a great way to manipulate the top card of your deck with her plus, so it shouldn't be too difficult to set her up. So while Yennet isn't probably going to be a strong commander option, it's nice that you have a decent value creature with good keywords that is going to synergize with the face commander of this product. Now, making a deck built around odd tribal is probably the main reason why I would say she's not a strong commander option yet. I mean, we do have that one Eldrazi that prevents our opponents from casting even stuff. They can't even, so I guess this is the odd commander. Would fit in perfectly with this deck though, by the way. And now we move on to the last commander option, which is probably going to be the other easy build around. You have zombies, which is kind of straightforward. I would say that's probably the most straightforward. But with ninjas, you already know what you're going to do. Build a deck around ninjutsu, take advantage of your ninjas. But she actually has a really nice trigger that does synergize with Aminatu if you choose to just throw her in there as one of the 99. Whenever a ninja you control deals combat damage to a player, you reveal the top card of your library and put that card into your hand. Each opponent loses life equal to that card's converted mana cost. So as you can see, Aminatu sets you up perfectly for this card as well. The only problem is she is better as a commander. All you really need to do is play a lot of those one-drop blue creatures that can't be blocked. There are a couple merfolk that do that. There are some black creatures that do that. You get those out as soon as turn 1, and then turn 2 you have an easy Yuriko play, and then immediately turn 2, if you can set yourself up, put something good on the top of your deck, you can force each one of your opponents to lose life equal to that card's converted mana cost. So cards like Scroll Rack, Sensei's Divining Top, relevant in the other two deck options, but especially with Yuriko, when you can set up the top 2, 3, attack with 3 ninjas, deal combat damage with them, reveal the top 3 cards of your library, and you can easily just win the game right there if you have a decent enough setup. I see this being a really good representation of ninjas, and finally a legendary ninja that we've been looking for to build an entire deck around. It's kind of what you would expect coming out of nowhere and winning games. That's exactly what I think you're going to be able to do with this commander. And the commander ninjutsu is pretty much just like the other ninjutsus, but it's a commander. You return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand, and then you put her onto the battlefield from your hand or the command zone, which is the only exception. Not very good stats, a 1/3, but usually when you're exchanging her for one of your unblocked creatures, it's not going to matter anyway. Now, that being said, there is another synergy here. You do want to make sure that you are playing some good cards that have a higher CMC, but are also cost efficient. And what I mean by that are the delve cards. Something like a treasure cruise that you can easily just cast for a few mana is going to count as 8, so you should be able to deal a lot of life loss to your opponents. So just keep that in mind. Another very underrated thing about ninjas that a lot of people forget about is that they're really fun to fool around with bounce back to your hand effects. So something like Baral's Expertise, where you could just take whatever ninjas you have out there, because once they're out there, it's kind of hard to get a lot going with them because they don't have unblockable. Usually the creatures that you had out there before them, your 1-drop unblockable creatures, they can easily swing in there. But once they're out there, you're going to have to find a way to either bounce them back to your hand or get them killed, bring them back to your hand from your graveyard, something like that. The easiest way to do this is something like an Evacuation. You also have Devastation Tide. You have other things that are going to bounce pretty much everything back to your hand, making it easier for you, the deck that's capable of just bringing your creatures out there with an ability. Just a really fun thing that I like doing. And a fun little note here, Commander Ninjutsu is kind of like Derevi's ability, where you can just keep bringing her out there for that 4 mana. The Ninjutsu isn't casting Yuriko, you're just putting her out there on the battlefield tapped for 2 mana. So there's no commander tax, it's just that 2, 1 blue, 1 black, to keep putting her out there tapped and attacking. So very cost efficient as far as commanders go, and you should always have her available as a ninja, so at least you're getting 1 trigger. If she's your only ninja that's dealing combat damage, at least you have her commander ninjutsu to rely on. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you think about these commander options. I honestly enjoy Yuriko the Tiger Shadow probably the most as far as commander options go. You understand the synergies with her deck, but you don't necessarily know everything about her yet. Might discover some more cool stuff. We don't know. And plus, it's a neglected creature type. Ninjas, been around since Kamigawa, haven't really explored them too much. We probably will be returning to Kamigawa sooner than later, so expect to see some more ninjas in the future. Hopefully this is a good sign. And this isn't to throw shade at the other decks. I just really like Yuriko. The strategy makes sense and it doesn't seem too dull. I like the Lich Queen, but I don't know, just something about generic zombie tribal. Yeah, you have a decent engine, card draw, life gain, game, but it's nothing super crazy that we haven't seen before. With ninjas, we haven't actually seen a good ninja deck that doesn't use like Vela the Nightclad, and the ninjutsu ability is actually relevant as opposed to the other legendary creatures that you couldn't really use their ninjutsu abilities because you can't ninjutsu them from the command zone. So if I had to say my favorite one, probably Yuriko, although I wouldn't underestimate the cool things that you can do and the rewarding experience that it can be building around a commander like Aminatu. Very weird, but you might fall in love with a deck like that, and it might be more fun to play with because some people underestimate strategies that they think are weak. So keep all those things in mind when you want to play around these commanders. I'm probably going to get this deck because I really do enjoy a lot of the strategies. Even the zombie one, if it is dull to me, I'm still probably going to want to play that kind of deck. But as always, thank you all for watching. You all have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.